Hey everyone, Emily Baker here with Aaron Simons with the Mega Listing Agent. And Aaron, we've got a great topic today, and it's real out there in this market.
Yeah, listen, we see a lot of people asking us the question, asking for input and advice on this. How do they get their sellers to come to terms with the current market? Right? How do we get sellers to come to terms with a market that's not what it was 3 years ago?
That's right. Yeah, because at the end of the day, sellers don't interview agents for fun, right? They may, play hardball and say, well, I don't have to sell. Well, of course you don't have to sell, right? You don't have to do anything. And yet at the end of the day, by selling, there is some sort of gain. And by not doing that, there's a cost. So we have it broken up into a three-part framework and a conversation on getting sellers to come to terms with the market. Now, we want to preface this, right, Aaron, in terms of this is ideal at the listing consultation. Yet, if you did not do it, right? And we want to get back, and maybe we're going to use this for a price adjustment strategy. Maybe they're not hearing you. We can get back face to face with them and go through this same framework. So at the consultation, and yet it's not too late. You can get back in front of them if you need to. Fair?
Yeah, so the three parts of the framework are number one, the facts,
Yep.
number two, the motivation, and
Yep.
then number three, the opportunity costs.
Mhm.
So if we start with facts, what are the most important facts about the market that we should be outlining for the seller?
Well, first, we break down the market in three ways, right? We go macro market, which is national, because that's where the news tends, those news outlets, they love to, share the bad. So we go national, what's happening as a whole. And then we go local, what's happening in our market. And then we go hyper local to what's happening in your specific community.
So if we're looking at, let's say, the local market, and we're looking at data points, a few of those data points might be inventory,
Mhm.
year over year or month over the month, correct?
Yep.
Is it trending up, down, neutral? Another data point might be deals under contract. How many properties have gone under contract in the last 30 days? And how does that compare month over month and year over year, correct?
Yep.
And then a third data point might be days on market. What does days on market look like for you month over month, year over year? And if you just had those three data points to your local market, that would tell a story. Would you agree?
Absolutely, because you're identifying, are we in a buyer, a balanced, or a seller's market? How long is it taking properties to get sold, right? And then it's what percentage of the market's going under contract.
Yeah. So we don't have to get too complicated, but if we just started with that, that would be enough, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So then if we move on to motivation, you said it already. Many sellers will say to us, I don't have to sell, which is really just code for they don't want to be taken advantage of, correct?
Yep, that's right.
It doesn't mean that they don't have to sell. That's just their defense mechanism because they know they're in a sales situation. And it's a little bit of putting up the guard to make sure that they're protecting themselves, right?
Mhm.
So if we're digging for motivation and we're going three deep, right? Not just the surface motivation of it's a job transfer, but really ultimately getting down to why that's so important. What does that look like from a conversation standpoint, drilling down and going three deep,
Yeah, well, it looks like, what does this move do for you?
right?
What's
Well, yeah, so maybe it starts with why are you selling, which is it's a job transfer, right?
well, what does that job transfer do for you?
So now we're going to that second layer of getting a little bit more intel on it, correct?
Yep. Ultimately, what would that do for you?
So that's now the third part of it,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. And most agents, Aaron, stop at it's a job transfer and they go, oh, where are you moving? Or where are you transferring? Where do you work? And you're taking that, but the emotions make them act, right? Motivation moves. We've got to get to by taking that job, they're able to make more money, right? By making more money, they're able to and put more into their investment strategy such that they can retire earlier, or maybe they have management potential at the corporate job, or maybe they're relocating to Florida and they live, in Michigan and they're excited to get somewhere warm and have a better quality of life. If you're just going surface level, you're not going to get to the root that's actually going to drive them to make a decision.
Yeah, because if we're just interacting with them around it's a job transfer to Florida versus the fact that that job transfer is going to allow them to get promoted quicker, which allow them more financial, stability, right? Or retire early or whatever. Now we get to talk about that. That's way more exciting than just the fact that there's a job transfer. That we get to now interact with them on what it's allowing and ultimately allowing them and their family to do. That's way more interesting and way more, connecting than just, oh, it's a job transfer. Let me tell you what I do to sell houses.
Yep.
And if they're interviewing agents and one agent's just focused on it's a job transfer, and now here we are talking about their bucket list of sailing around the world because that's what this is going to allow them to do or whatever, way better, correct?
That's right. And then it helps you also shorten that time span, right? Because then when you're getting in the emotions, they're emotionally connected to the goal, right? So they want to do it faster. Everyone wants that instant gratification of I want it now.
Yeah. So Going 3 deep is the why are you moving? What is important about that? And ultimately, what does that do for you?
That's right.
All right. So then the third piece to the framework is the opportunity costs,
Mhm.
meaning not selling will cost them something. And what do those costs look like?
Yeah, so we've got multiple costs, right? And how we would frame this first is, well, what happens if you don't sell? And we're going to go 3 deep on that. Well, are you okay with that? Well, ultimately, what would that mean for you? Right? So it's the same framework, but on the reverse side. And there are multiple costs. There's a physical cost,
Mhm.
there's an emotional cost, or there could be a financial cost. What does that look like?
So financial costs could be, let's say they're downsizing, and by selling the house and paying off their debts, they have enough cash to now, own a home without a mortgage, right? They're saving $3,000 a month, right? $36,000 a year over 5 years. How much savings will that be?
Mhm.
That could be a financial cost. Physical cost could either be, maybe let's go back to the downsizing. If they're in a two-story and they're getting a little bit older and there's a danger that they could fall down the stairs and injure themselves, that's a physical cost. Although, Emily, another physical cost could be they're spending an hour commuting to work each way and missing out on life's moments at home. That could be a physical cost.
That's right.
And then an emotional cost could be maybe that move to wherever it is they're going puts them closer to family, puts them closer to grandkids, puts them closer to their kids' cousins, right?
Mhm.
So, how much longer are they willing to be separated from their family or to miss out on life's moments? If you don't sell now and take the opportunity to move to be closer to your family, such that you can enjoy not just the holidays twice a year, but right, see each other on the weekends and all life moments, how much longer are you willing to not have that in your life or put that goal on hold?
Yeah.
So that's the framework, right?
Yeah, so we get clear on the facts. What's the market doing, right?
Mhm.
Then we get clear on their motivation, going 3 deep. What ultimately is this going to do for them and why is that important to them? And if they don't achieve that, then what? Are they okay with that? What does that ultimately cost them? Is it worth it?
So I like to say this is why we still have jobs. This is why technology hasn't taken over, because not every seller is coming to terms yet with the market. Yet, as we sit with them and we go through that three-part framework on the facts, on the motivation, on the costs, this is what starts to change their perspective and have a better understanding, not just of the market, but of their situation. They need our perspective. If they already knew what they wanted or what to do, we wouldn't exist. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Awesome. So go have these conversations.